So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
What's up guys, welcome to the far side. The Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania official trailer just dropped and holy moly do we have a lot of things to discuss. This trailer is full of Easter eggs and comic book references. We get to finally see Kang the Conqueror in all his glory and I'm kind of freaking out, but let's break it all down. Let's go! Ant-Man 3 will be released in February next year and is meant to kick off Marvel's Phase 5. Quantumania has massive ties and its events lead to Avengers Kang Dynasty. This trailer isn't exactly the one shown in Comic-Con or D23, but seems to be a tweaked version to focus on the main characters in the story.
Where are we?
MODOK is notably missing from the footage and Kang's conversation with Ant-Man being an Avenger is nowhere to be found as well. But we do get a lot more Kang, so no complaints here. Kang is the multiversal threat set up by the end of Loki, and we'll finally see him and maybe all his variants, hopefully in other titles like Loki Season 2, all the way through Phase 6. Nathaniel Richards is the time-traveling entity known as Kang the Conqueror and is the first person to discover and make contact with other variants in the multiverse. He might be a descendant of Reed Richards, and other known variants of him are Rama-Tut, Immortus, Scarlet Centurion, and Iron Lad. Technically, we saw two versions of his character in Loki, who kind of plays out like Immortus, but referred to in the series as He Who Remains. That version of him was the self-imposed guardian of the sacred timeline via the TVA, or Time Variance Authority, which was created to ensure the timeline kept the other versions of him, like Kang, from conquering the multiverse. By the end of the show, He Who Remains is dead and the timeline is in disarray. But moving on to the shot-by-shot breakdown, with the start of the trailer, we see Scott Lang enjoying popularity and apparently gaining celebrity status post the events of Avengers Endgame. Getting recognized walking down the street, his merch even seems to be quite popular too. Scott and Hope Van Dyne attend some kind of red carpet event and we get a glimpse of his former job in Baskin Robbins from the first movie.
Darby, could you just take care of this idiot? Thanks.
Scott started a podcast titled Big Me Little Me as seen in Ms. Marvel, and the voiceover narrating his life may be a part of that. One scene in the other trailer shows him doing a book read for his book Look Out for the Little Guy. A shop owner calls him Spider-Man, a little teaser on Peter Parker's return to secrecy as a result of Doctor Strange's civil rights spell. This shows that Spider-Man is still a known superhero throughout the MCU main continuity. Initially, you can just make out the song in the background, which is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Now this song may be referring to Kang, but with the apparent characterization of this particular variant, I doubt he wants to live a simpler life. However, this may foreshadow something darker altogether. The song alludes to wanting to go back to our normal life outside of the Yellow Brick Road, which stands for fame and wealth, and more interestingly calls for a replacement. The dark side of this is that someone will be replaced by the end of the movie. There are theories about this, but I won't discuss it for you here. Down in the Pym Lab, we see Cassie Lang, now played by Catherine Newton. The recast might actually play into a twist in the movie. We see her later in her purple costume. It might be a version of the Stinger character in the comics, and it kind of works like Hope Van Dyne's Wasp suit with the quad wings, but we haven't seen it in action in the footage. Her predominant role in the comics was Stature, a part of the superhero team, the Young Avengers. Her thing was growing really huge, as the name implies, just like his dad from Captain America Civil War and Avengers Endgame. And I kind of have a theory on how she gets her powers here. Anyway, she seems to be something of a scientist herself, saying people still need help, that's why we created this. Speaking about a device that sends a signal down to the quantum realm. It's unclear who she means when she says we. Remember Cassie showing the device for the first time? There are a number of people that could have helped her with the knowledge of the quantum realm, like Ava Starr or Bill Foster, aka Goliath. That would also be one way for her to acquire her size manipulation powers as Stature. Another early theory is that she's referring to a young, time-displaced variant of Nathaniel Richards by the name of Iron Lad. In the comics, he is a time-displaced variant of Kang the Conqueror who sought him out in an attempt to manifest his destiny earlier in his life. However, young Richards renounced his destiny and traveled back in time in the hopes of preventing his turning to Kang with the help of the Young Avengers. Although they might mystery box this for the movie, but that would be the most logical choice. Then a vortex opens up and sucks them into the quantum realm. The portal seems to emanate blue energy. This might be quantum energy, the very same that powers Kang's technology and his other devices. We see the family sucked in a cool visual here of the size progression as they shrink, which may also be seen every time they trigger their powers. In the comics, Kang has access to various technologies throughout the multiverse, and most of these depict blue light, like his face masks shown as having a blue glow. Most likely, these are using quantum energy and led to Iron Lad having a hand in its creation. We get our first clear look inside the quantum realm, which Janet describes as a secret universe beneath ours. Seems they're portraying different iterations of the realm here, like this rocky terrain, then later with alien-looking fauna, and what looks like within Quantum City, which we saw briefly in Ant-Man 2. The quantum realm is invariably connected with Kang, as his space-time manipulation technology stems from his access to quantum energy. This has been accessed previously when Hank Pym, Bill Foster, and Elias Starr first built a quantum tunnel to harness this energy, and later on Tony Stark and Rocket Raccoon built one to travel throughout the events of Avengers Endgame. A distinct feature of this place are these cloud-like circular vacuums permeating the place. These might be time vortices. Janet referred to these in Ant-Man 2, so the realm might be an access point to various points in the time stream. The Avengers may have traversed one of these during the events of Endgame. Janet describes the place as a universe, and you might think that these terms, universes, planes, realms, dimensions, are interchangeable, but there are differences. Primarily, we can focus on two broad categories here. Universes refer to the numbered alternate realities collectively known as the multiverse, like the main 616 universe, which is where the mainstream MCU characters are. A through 8 universe seen in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield also have their own realities. And we have realms, dimensions, and planes, which are more like pocket universes existing in parallel to our own, like Black Panther's ancestral planes, Dark Dimension, the Mirror Dimension, Talo, and even Hell.
What the hell are you talking about?
Going back, initially they split into two groups, Cassie with her dad, and Hank, Janet, and Hope on another part of the realm. Here Cassie asks where they are as local beings pop up, which may be inhabitants of the Quantum City. Scott seems to have his suit here, so he might have been carrying it somehow. Same case with Hope later on as she wakes up surrounded by pores. This trailer seems to be centering on Janet. She was stuck in the realm for a very long time, only recently saved by Hank Pym. She says there's something she's been keeping secret, and we hear Hope asking what she's so afraid of. Maybe she has something to do with Kang and what he's after. Later on, we learn that he's making a deal with Scott. The way they cut the trailer as she says this, it cuts to some kind of glowing orb device. Now, this might be the light of the Century Sphere, one of Kang's main time manipulation apparatus in the comics, or alternatively, a version of the Forever Crystal, an item of immense power enabling him to create temporal anomalies and manipulate any point in the space-time continuum. An early theory is that Janet and Nathaniel, aka Kang, might have met in the past within the quantum realm. This may be the place Nathaniel discovered a way to traverse the multiverse in the first place and created his timeshare. But Janet may have discovered his purpose and hid a critical element in his machine, and when she was saved by Hank, there would have been no way for Kang to locate it. Later in the trailer, we see her manipulate a wall which might be a vault with circular inscriptions on it. The symbolism there might refer to the circular nature of the time stream, at least as seen in Loki, and might be the reason a lot of Kang's time manipulation tech has the same structure. We can actually see a scene of how she could have possibly survived within the quantum realm. We see a weird farm-like location with a hooded figure, which might be Janet years ago, looking at a crashing ship. This might be piloted by Kang, and this is how they meet for the first time. The next scene, we see a giant nexus in the center of what looks like a city. At the top of that central structure right there, we can see a focal point where there seems to be a yellowish golden apparatus. As Kang in the voiceover says, this place isn't what you think, maybe speaking with Scott during their conversation seen in other footage. This might be a version of Chronopolis, Kang's stronghold. It contains access points to all of the time eras that Kang has conquered. Here it might be still in its infancy until Kang locates the source for its power. Not sure about you guys, but I'm getting Rick and Morty vibes here with the Citadel, looking at the soldiers having similar looking suits and technology to Kang. Even the ships has that quantum energy thing going on. This might be the Council of KANG'S. By its name, it's a group consisting of Kang variants. Maybe some were used as soldiers, or maybe enslaved inhabitants of the Quantum City. We don't know as of the moment. But if all of these are Kang variants, that would make the one speaking to Scott Kang Prime. This looks to be Kang's army mobilizing for war. With the sheer numbers here, he might be preparing to invade the multiverse. Remember, he gets his moniker from literally conquering other universes. This actually reminds me of the clones assembling in Clone Wars. Now we see a scene of him using a spherical platform that looks like a smaller version of the giant structure in the city. It might be powered by the Light of the Century sphere there too. The golden coloring stood out to me, and this might be his main time-traveling platform. And we can see him here with his full armor and face mask, probably using the machine. We actually get to see Bill Murray's character, but we don't hear him speak in the trailer, but he knows Janet from her time in the Quantum City. He might even be romantically linked to Janet. Krylar might be running a group within the city, but we're still not sure if he's a villain or how he fits into the entire story.
And give you more time.
Another footage he refers to Scott as having lost a lot of time, specifically with Cassie when he was stuck in limbo within the realm for 5 years. He's kind of offering him back those years for her childhood. Now we see a scene of giant Scott surrounded by Kang's war machines. Clearly he made a huge crater during his transformation, as we see debris all around him. We see Scott and Hope aka the Wasp face off with the Kang army. Hope's suit now bright yellow in stark contrast to other suits worn by Cassie wearing purple, and Scott with his original red Ant-Man suit. Then we see Janet somewhere completely different. The color and tone of this is different from anything in the trailer so far, which leads me to think it might be towards the end. She faces an arachnid looking creature. Then the family, apparently reunited here, looks at someone. Scott's face is noticeably bleeding here, clearly beaten up during the part of the movie. This might tie into the leaked footage of his helmet being broken. Notice some tearing of the fabric of time and space right there. Kind of reminds me when Clea cut through the fabric of reality, which suggests whatever Kang is doing something similar to the space-time continuum. We see Scott running into place along with other versions of himself, his giant self unraveling before his helmet falls and almost crushes him there. This might be connected to an earlier scene where Scott can be seen looking at something in a place that seems to be stuck in time. This might tie into an early theory of his fate in the movie. Maybe this is him deciding to save his family, which eventually leads to him essentially being erased from existence. Cassie and Scott run from gunfire through the streets, and we get to see Kang in his disc platform showing off some of his powers. This looks to be comic book accurate to me with the coloring and the design. We can't really tell with the suit, but Jonathan Majors is ripped. That physicality definitely would lend well to his role as Kang. Although not known to be physically imposing like say Thanos, he instead uses technology and intelligence to his advantage. His suit enhances his strength, energy projection fields, and also enables telekinesis. We see the trio here. Cassie seems to have her suit fitted as well, which suggests she might have had it this entire time. Remember, they were sucked in through the vortex and didn't have time to suit up. This might also mean she might have been using it prior to the movie as part of her group, maybe an early version of the Young Avengers. In other teaser footage, she is kind of operating behind the scenes without Scott's knowledge, and that got her into trouble. Last scene, we see Kang walking up to Ant-Man and asks him what's it gonna be, referring to his deal with him. He doesn't have his blue mask on, so we can only see his face here. Looks similar to He Who Remains, but with the exception of twin scars running down his face. This might be a reference to his blue mask in the comics, which similar looking lines, but I do think it will have more significance to his origin and how he became the multiverse conquering villain. These might have been a result of his encounters with the Avengers in alternate realities. During the Comic-Con footage, he did say he was going around apparently slaughtering Avengers before. Final scene, we see the Ant-Man logo, and this time the Quantumania shrinking down like Ant-Man powers when using Pym particles, along with a blue quantum energy highlighting the entire thing. I did have an early theory for the plot of the show, and I'll probably condense everything into another video. To be honest, I didn't expect to get a lot of Kang this early, but I do think it's awesome. I like the trailer. It got me really hyped for the movie, which is only a couple of months away. That's it for my breakdown, guys. Please consider like and follow if you like this content. I have other videos coming to the channel soon. Thank you for watching. Take care out there, and see you on the next one.